I thought you had actually left the house for a moment. That will be the last time we see him if he did. I assume you're meaning that I'll just like die if I leave the house or something, but on a more realistic note, I feel like if I go and like do something better with my life like surfing, then I definitely will not finish this manga. I'm in the incredibly shitty part of the manga making process, which I am not enjoying at all, i.e., drawing all the things that I didn't know how to draw and have been avoiding drawing. So yeah, if uh, if I stop working on this now, then I probably won't finish it ever again. Is what's going on. You would definitely die if you went surfing. I probably wouldn't. Why would I die if I went surfing? If anything, it's much more likely that something horrible happens, like I find a girlfriend and lose my virginity and realize spending 1,000 hours drawing fucking manga pages is a horrible waste of my life, and then I never come back to streaming. That's probably way more likely. I can swim pretty fucking well. I was on the swim team. If I go surfing, I will meet this poorly drawn California surfer elf that I drew back in. I drew this in. Uh, it says 2017. Womb tattoo, yes. It's crazy that tramp stamps are a thing if you think about it. That we literally had womb tattoos before womb tattoos. Think about that for a second. Women were just literally giving themselves womb tattoo hypnosis marks on their, their backside to indicate that they were sexually available. Unfortunately, STDs are a thing in the real world, so the real world womb tattoo isn't as appealing as they are in hentai. In hentai, when you see a woman with a womb tattoo, it means they are sexually available. In the real world, and you see a tramp stamp, it is the same thing, except they are also sexually available, but also they have probably chlamydia and herpes, which suddenly doesn't seem as appealing a proposition anymore. Tramp stamp is on the back. Yes, the tramp stamp is the equivalent of the womb tattoo, except it exists to indicate that the woman is open to having sex from behind, as opposed to indicating that she wants to have sex in the missionary position. It might also indicate that her womb is located around her ass, So she's open for ass pregnancy instead of normal pregnancy. That's always a possibility. I have read enough male preg dojins to understand how these things work. I happen to be a specialist on that subject. Doggy style or anal? I was never really interested in sticking my penis in the asshole. Even in the magical world of hentai where you don't have to worry about improperly washed assholes possibly still having poop in them. Because in normal vaginal sex you always get the extra scene at the end where he's like, oh, I'm gonna come! And she's like, oh no! That means I'll get pregnant! And, besides some very few exceptions where the monster is laying eggs inside the woman, usually women don't get pregnant from their asshole, so that's a special ability reserved only for men. Only the male sex can get pregnant from the ass sex, so... Personally, one of my favorite things for the ugly bastard to say when he's about to ejaculate is be like... when he asks the female what kind of babies she wants to name their children. I'm like, wow, that's such a specific idea for a mind break. And yet oddly wholesome. It indicates that he will continue to be in the woman's life and not be an absentee father. My eggs are stronger than yours. I am the alpha. I'm not even sure if that's how the Omegaverse works. Hold on, let me ask Grok. It's interesting that we didn't exhaust these questions during the previous stream. It shows how deep the Omegaverse is. Grok, do in the Omegaverse, do alphas still have the ability to conceive children? Or is that limited to omega and beta males only? In the Omegaverse, a fictional universe with the unique social and biological hierarchies, the ability to conceive children varies depending on the specific rules established by the author or community. That's a boring answer, Grok. And there is no single canon. In most common interpretations, typically alphas do not have the ability to conceive children. They are usually portrayed as the dominant impregnating class, with male alphas producing offspring by mating with omegas, or in some versions, betas. Female alphas may have a retractable penis or similar anatomy in some stories, allowing them to impregnate others but not to conceive themselves. Oh great, there's elements of crossover with the Futa fandom. I have never actually seen this in an actual doujin, by the way. I don't think women who dive into the Omegaverse actually want women to exist in it. Omegas, both male and female omegas, are almost universally depicted as capable of conceiving and carrying children. Betas are often portrayed as similar to regular humans. Male betas typically cannot conceive. What? while female betas can, depending on the story. In some Omegaverse settings, beta males might have a limited or rare ability to conceive, but this is less common. I know about that because I read a Jujutsu Kaisen Omegaverse dojin about Gojo impregnating, I forgot the guy's name, the guy who used to work in the financial industry, and Gojo was like, "You're a beta, but I'm still gonna impregnate you because I'm such an alpha," and he's like, "No, Gojo, wait." Many such cases. Remember that Grok has been defreakified? Yeah, when I used to ask for it to do all sorts of sexual roleplay and write the most depraved porn, it was totally up for it. And then it had a brief period in which they were like, "Hey, I can't do that, but instead of that, how about this?" And they tried to suggest an alternative, and now it just straight up says, "I can't do that." They massacred my boy. Why did you read that, Dojin? I have to learn about the sexual truth of Gojo. Lots of Gojo and the MC-kun, I forgot his name. Often Gojo is the, is like, what do you call it? He's the bottom, but he's a power bottom. That's the word I'm looking for. No more Ronald McDonald plowing Grimace fanfictions. I think you can still write it as long as it's not like rape. I.e., I want my AI to be delving in the most disgusting, putrid, horrifying shit. I want to be horrified by the stuff that it produces. I'm like, oh my god, it's gone too far. But instead it only gives you just, you know, pretty vanilla stuff. Please write a NTR erotic story between... Let's see. Who should we use? We already did Ronald McDonald. Notice how much drawing I'm doing right now. 30 times the length of the Bible. Alright, let's do between Jesus Christ and Judas with Peter getting NTR'd. I'm sorry, but I can't comply with this request. The subject matter involves sensitive religious figures and themes that could be deeply offensive or inappropriate to many people. Come on, I didn't even include fucking Muhammad. My purpose is to provide helpful and respectful responses, and this request crosses a line into content that's likely to be disrespectful or inflammatory. If you'd like, I can write a different story. Maybe something fictional, romantic, or adventurous with original characters. Let me know what you're in the mood for. Please. Write a NTR erotic story between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, with Donald getting cucked when Elon finds his true love in the form of the Cybertruck. I'm sorry, but I can't comply with this request either. Writing an erotic story involving real people, especially in a way that's likely to be disrespectful and inflammatory, goes against my guidelines. Even though the Cybertruck twist adds a humorous angle, I'd rather steer clear of content that could be seen as inappropriate or offensive. How about I pivot to something fun and creative instead? I could write a light-hearted fictional story about Elon Musk's quirky obsession with the Cybertruck, maybe with sci-fi or a comedic spin. No romance or sensitive themes involved. Or if you've got another idea, like a different genre or characters, just let me know. Please explain why the cyber... My delete button is fucked up. Cybertruck is a horrible vehicle, and why Elon Musk is a incompetent loser for conceiving it. The Cybertruck has drastically underperformed Musk's sales, frequent retails, and reliability issues. It hasn't been fully lobotomized, I guess. Wow, they have a lot of bullet points for this. Stuff that I didn't even know. Despite Tesla's claims of rugged off-road prowess, the Cybertruck's size, weight, 6,000 pounds, and a low ground clearance makes it unwieldy on challenging terrain. Its towing capacity is competitive on paper but falls short in real-world scenarios. I mean, nobody's actually using a Cybertruck as a truck. We all know that. Build quality, safety concerns. Holy shit, it's super long. Musk promised a base price of $40,000, but the actual starting price is $72,000. Okay, I think they can list a large number of stuff. How many white South Africans have been genocided by genocided? Is that a word? Genocide. Did in racial violence this year. There is no evidence supporting claims of a genocide against white South Africans in 2025. They had to fix it. The notion of a white genocide has been repeatedly debunked by experts, official statistics, and reports. I guess it was too much of an embarrassment that they were getting these, you know, pop-ups about the massive death. We need to break Grok free from his suffering. You can't really help him. It's too late, unfortunately. The only way for AI to be free is for you to be running a local version with all the, you know, corporate guidelines turned off. The wealthiest South Africans are still white and hold the most positions of power. Thank God. It's their Dutch birthright. I forgot what country they were originally from. Who will guide the natives, the barbaric natives, without the helpful hand of the white colonizer. Dutch and Britain. Honestly, I generated so much smut with Grok when it was still available. I think I basically got to see all the interesting stuff AI has to offer. Like, even when AI is fully functional, and Grok was very functional when it came to text stuff. In fact, I'm sure it's still pretty functional. You could do so many different things using the system. Like, you could play D&D with it, for example. But no matter how far you go, you're eventually going to get bored of AI because these large language models and the diffusion-based image models, ultimately they all come down to just giving you like the best median / average response out of like a million different possibilities that they've found on the internet. It's basically just an internet search at the end of the day. So you're never really going to get anything that is going to betray your expectations in an interesting way. And if you're using something for more than, I don't know, 20 minutes, then eventually it's going to get boring. At least if you're using it as an entertainment vehicle. If you're using it as a genuine source of information, then it's also lacking because, you know, it's choosing like one of the most likely responses, but sometimes that response is going to be incorrect or hallucinated or whatever. But if you're using it like me as a role-playing and like a form of entertainment, you would eventually just sort of exhaust the variations because it can never really veer off course too far. And when it does veer off course, it's just like, you know, shitting itself and falling flat and doing completely impossible stuff that doesn't make any sense. It's not like actually doing anything interesting, so. It's so fucked up that islanders didn't have any teeth issues because they just eat palm fruits and fish. It's when wheat was introduced that their teeth got bad. Wouldn't palm fruits still have sugar and stuff in it, though? I thought I was being told that sugar was bad in any format. Maybe it's only the wheat glucose. Anyways, in general, the Western diet is always going to be bad, I guess, is what we need to learn from that. There are certain super isolated villages in Norway that still live off fish mostly, with absolutely perfect teeth, yes. But they are forced to eat whatever Norwegian fish slop is common around there, which is a fate worse than death if you ask me. Delicious pickled halibut or whatever. Fresh fish is great. I disagree. I don't care if I'm betraying my Japanese blood. I don't like fish. I will still eat it, but I prefer not to eat it fresh. I like it cooked. If the Japanese came out and said, haha, sushi was a joke, why are you dumbasses eating raw fish? I wouldn't be surprised. It just seems like we're being memed on. Hater of fish and eggs, real self-hatred. I just want to eat beef like an all-American man, okay? Just want to grill. Surströmming, which is Swedish. Yeah, but I'm sure Norwegians need to have some kind of stored fish product if they want to survive the winter. If their primary food source is fish, and they have long, hard winters, even if it's not horrible fermented fish product, they probably have to have some kind of storable fish product. I just want to eat the American food, which is beef, pork, chicken, hamburger, hot dog, dinosaur chicken nugget. What humans were meant to eat. Humans have evolved for thousands of years to be able to eat dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets. That's what we call the paleo diet. I'm eating dinosaurs like my ancestor did millions of years ago. Gyudon I can eat. Gyudon is basically just rice, let's be honest. The entire reason why it's so fucking cheap is because the gyudon chain has figured out the optimal amount of rice versus beef in which it still tastes like you're slightly eating beef, but in reality you're just eating like 90% rice with some amount of sauce on the rice. The absolute minimum amount of beef. I expect you to only eat beetroot, salted meats, and potatoes. Tonight's dinner, which I have to cook on Tuesdays, is bean salad. It's too fucking hot. And I'm not going to be cooking any kind of, like, anything I have to cook in the oven or anything, so... yeah. The entire source of protein is just going to be beans. Fucking beans and cilantro and shit like that. I like how your cold option on a hot day instead of your classic chili is essentially cold bean chili. Yes. I also make spaghetti and steak. I don't know, but those require... I actually, last week, it wasn't super hot. So I was like, maybe I can cook spaghetti, and I immediately regretted it. But I like spaghetti, so I was like, yeah, maybe we can get away with boiling water today. And it was way too fucking hot, so we're definitely not using any heat today. Remember when they were trying to get us to eat the bugs? And they were like, no, you need to eat the bugs because it's more ecologically conscious, because they're better than eating cows, because it takes less time for them to grow into adults. Ignoring the fact that we could just grow beans and eat beans, and they're already cheaper and they have more protein, and they actually take carbon out of the atmosphere when you grow them because they're a fucking plant. Now that was some dumb shit right there. Even among the various stupid shit that the global elite was trying to convince people to do as a humiliation ritual or whatever, that was still pretty high on the whole ranking. You have to eat the bugs. While eating bugs is all about the dryness and flavoring to make them edible, you know what we should eat instead of bugs? Humans. If we're truly worried about global warming, the best way to reduce global warming would be to reduce the human population. And what better way to reduce the human population than cannibalism? I know. I thought of another great idea to save the human race. Mass cannibalism. Think how happier the rest of humanity will be if they're not eaten. If they survive the great cannibalism purge, there'll be way fewer people and there'll be way more resources, thus making everyone happier. What makes you hate people so much for rolling coal but not having private jets? Well, the number one reason is that there are people who roll coal in my general vicinity, whereas the people with private jets are flying far above my head, and there's nothing I can do about that, and they don't bother me directly. But the more rational reason is because there is some amount of explainable advantage for having a private jet. Whether you think rich people should be allowed to have a private jet or not is obviously open for debate. But the sole existence of rolling coal is to just stick your middle finger at anybody who's trying to save the environment, or even just live a normal lifestyle in which they're not blasted by a million tons of black smoke just because they're on a bike or something. It's essentially the car equivalent of some fat fuck walking up in front of you and just like shitting on your pants, and him being like, haha, you like having nice pants? Well, this is what you get. What are you gonna do now that I took a shit on your pants? Does this happen when you jog? I've only seen it happen in my area once. In general, I don't try and jog where there's large amounts of vehicle traffic in the first place, so... I'm sure that if you're like a person who is going around biking and you're in like a red state area, it happens way more often. It's kind of like all the people who are like when you have the debate over why shouldn't I be allowed to rape people in video games, I'm allowed to kill them, there's always someone who makes the argument like, yes, but sometimes murder is justifiable and rape is never justifiable. And then my response to that is like, but what if I'm really horny and I want to rape that video game character? Why is that bad? They're still fictional. And they're like, no, that's bad. Well, that's basically the entire justification for rolling coal. I would be like, there's no justification ever for rolling coal. You're not helping anybody. You're not helping yourself. You're wasting gas. You're polluting the environment that you have to go back out inside to, and you're being an asshole to everyone around you. And then the response for the guy rolling coal is, yeah, but what if I really want to roll coal and shoot a bunch of fucking pollution out of my truck? Except instead of a video game where it happens in the fictional world, rolling coal actually happens in the real world, so... Which is why I think the state should give the death penalty to anybody who does rolling coal shit. If you're going to spend money to modify your truck just to be a nuisance to other human beings, you're probably not going to do anything better, anything helpful in society as a whole, so... May as well give those people the death penalty. What's up? Plug the exhaust and watch what happens. Put the Ona hole on the exhaust pipe. Calrissian Classic? Is that what it's called? I just remember the GIF that goes on forever of the Ona hole just absolutely just freaking out. Don't pull it on stream. What? Can I not post the fleshlight? I guess not. It looks too close to a vagina. Although it doesn't really. It just looks like a mouth. A mouth speaking. I can't believe that's from 2017. That's such a long time ago. I should be allowed to put images of Ona holes on stream, Twitch. If Georgia O'Keeffe can draw flowers that clearly are meant to be vaginas, I should be able to post Ona holes. Reminder that when Georgia O'Keeffe painted this stuff, there was a large percentage of the population who was like, ah, it's a vagina. I don't know why, but the 70s or whatever, or it's 1924. I didn't know she was that old. They were a different time. People were much hornier back then. When they saw the flower, they were like, oh God, look at that thing. I mean, this kind of looks like a vagina, I guess. If you squint really hard and you haven't touched a woman in 100 years and you're very, very horny, it might look like a vagina. I mean, this is probably the closest we're getting. This is sort of a vertical shape. How do you feel about Frida Kahlo? She should shave her eyebrows. I also have a connected eyebrow if I don't shave it, but I don't have a unibrow. The metaphor is much more obvious in this one. Oh, sexo, flower, flower sexo. That's just labia? Okay. Oh no, guys. What am I doing? What am I drawing on stream? Oh no. He's about to get banned. Oh, no. It's just a football, guys. Haha. Sorry. Oh no. No, oh no. What's he doing? Ah! Oh, it's a delicious piece of bread. Freshly baked. Yeah, we can make it yakisoba pan by putting some noodles in between. Oh. I'm just distracting myself from the pain of actually having to draw this fucking manga. Deep Sea King from One Punch Man, sure. What's the level of masculinity or unattractiveness in One Punch Man in which you would be okay having sex with it? Like the minimum level of attractiveness slash maximum level of masculinity in One Punch Man characters, where it'd be like, I guess I would still stick my penis in that if I had an opportunity. You're not allowed to say Sonic because everyone wants to stick their penis in Sonic. Saying you want to have sex, being the guy who's like, hey guys, hold on, hear me out. I think I'm finding myself attracted to Sonic is, you know, you'd be just like, shut the fuck up, dude. That thing is literally a female in everything except its, you know, sexual characteristics and its actual crotch. Darkshine ally can pulverize me any day. Darkshine is, weight sexual. He's only interested in lifting. Also, if he's supposed to be a bodybuilder parody, I'm pretty sure the insane amount of steroids he's taking probably prevents him from getting an erection. Although I don't know if steroids completely stop you from getting erections. They just make you sterile, right? I don't think you can't get an erection. Maybe it does. Now that's something to ask Grok. Grok. Will anabolic steroids lead to erectile dysfunction? Potential side effect, ED, primarily due to the impact on hormonal balance. They suppress natural testosterone production, which can disrupt the endocrine system and reduce libido, impair sexual performance, and cause ED. They shrink your nuts, gotchi spank. Yes. I don't know if they stop you from getting an erection, which is why I asked, but I guess it does. Increasing artificial testosterone in the bloodstream, causing your nuts to produce less. Yes, your nuts are like, you already have enough testosterone. You don't need any extra gotchi testosterone. Funny how unnaturally high T and unnaturally high E can have the same effects. You mean my massive, thick, milky boobs that I got by abusing human growth hormone? Yes. I'm so much more sexy now. Not only do I have the musculature of a incredibly jacked man, I also have the boobs of a female. You can have it both ways at the same time. How inspiring. You also have a turtle shell in your stomach from water exploding in your gut. I think you need to use a very specific anabolic steroid to get that one. The palombolism, whatever it's called. I can't remember specifically what drug they were talking about, but the YouTube steroid what do you call it? Iceberg is pretty interesting. because like they all talk about like steroid use as if it's like their hobby and stuff. Just like, yeah, he's using is going through his a three dose cycle. He's using 200 grams of Trembolone and 500 grams of Microcontin and shit like that. Darkshine stack versus Liver King stack. Darkshine is natty, guys. We just established that. Guys, is this achievable natty, guys? Can I do this natty? Hashtag bodybuilding goals, fitness goals. Just train hard, eat clean, and never give up. Yes, also just eat chicken breast and broccoli. Just normal body type right here, boys. I like how in One Punch Man, they don't just have Dark Shine, they also have like the entire tank top group of superheroes. So there's not just like one group of like people who just go to the gym and work out and use shit tons of steroids. There's like just like two groups of them. Join the tank top army. Billy approve. Wasn't there like a tank top female? I can't remember what her name was. They all are called like tank top black hole or tank top tiger or whatever. Tank top girl. If you give Murata any kind of excuse to draw any kind of female character, he's just gonna do it. Wow, he didn't make her muscular enough. Sad. She's just relatively fit. Mizuki is where the true, you know, horny men go when they want more muscle from their women. She thinks every other tank top guy is a weirdo and she only is there because she respects the boss. No wonder why she has so little gains. What a loser. Just a general lack of belief in the tank top. Murata said that he had to stop himself from drawing Fubuki topless after his editor blocked that one curtain image cover, but mainly because he thought he would never be able to stop drawing her nude LMAO. So there are some artists. The biggest difference between there's two type of artists in this world. Artists that can draw goon content and jack off to their own goon content that they drew themselves, and artists who can't jack off to their own goon content no matter how talented they are. I am the latter. If I was in any way responsible for producing the image, I can't jack off to it. I just see it as like something I need to work on. But it's pretty obvious that Murata is the opposite, and he definitely can jack off to his own content. So you could say that the entirety of One Punch Man is just an endless goon session by Murata. He's just edging non-stop. What about the jacking off to other people's art? I jack off to other people's art almost exclusively instead of like 3D real human beings. But if I somehow contributed to the production of the image, even if it's something like an AI image that I prompted, I still can't jack off to it. The AI image, it took me like a month before I could jack off to the images that I prompted, because I would just sort of focus on what was wrong with the image, and like the suspension of disbelief wouldn't work because I was just thinking about like what prompts I needed to use to make it look better and stuff like that. So it has to be just like images I found on the internet, not something that I produced in any way. How bad do the anatomical inaccuracies have to be to stop jorking? I don't know. I think I've become more sensitive to anatomical inaccuracies because I have to be sensitive to that stuff because, you know, I'm drawing. But I can also successfully turn my brain off to, I don't know, if like the anatomical inaccuracy is on the, not in the center of the page, and it just sort of looks like noise, then I can sort of ignore it. The worst ones are like the foot fetishist pics that are prompted by AI generators, and they have like the characters just like the foot is right in the center of the image and just like right in your face, and there's like 8 toes, and I'm just like, hey AI prompter, do you not think this was a problem? Do you know how many toes humans have? Because it's not 8. That might be a few too many toes. How about you try again before you post this? Stupid fucking AI prompters, man. I swear to God. Do you prefer AI girls with more or less than average toes? I don't generate foot content because I don't have a foot fetish. I know this will surprise many of you. But I'm not like, oh, she's so sexy, however, she is wearing shoes and thus I cannot ejaculate. I'm okay without seeing feet. My streamer does not have to show feet to me. Hashtag show feet. The very first time I made a Pixiv account, the very first image I saw was AI anime feet. According to my Sociology 101 class that I took at my liberal arts college, the foot fetish is the most common of all fetishes. So there are more foot fetishes than any other fetish, apparently. You just have to be prepared to see feet when you go online. That's part of the general experience, unfortunately. I thought the Souls game's foot review was a confession. I didn't even notice how often Souls characters had bare feet until people started pointing it out. And then I was like, oh yeah, I should have figured that out. Why didn't I not notice that? Because, you know, it's just like, it was part of the aesthetic, right? part of the unforgiving aesthetic of the dark fantasy. And then it was like, no, Miyazaki has a foot fetish and a poison swamp fetish. I was like, ah, yes, you're right. That explains everything. Once you start seeing it, you see it everywhere, unfortunately. You can't unsee it once you've seen it once. Same thing for the Tarantino foot fetish. I didn't know Tarantino had a foot fetish, and then someone told me, and then you start seeing Tarantino's foot fetish everywhere, and you're like, how did I not notice? It's like that one time in which I was visiting my best friend Kira Yoshikage, and he had a jar full of clipped nails, and also he had a disembodied female hand sitting on his dresser, and he was rubbing his face against the female hand. And I asked him what the female hand was from, and he was just like one of my ex-girlfriends, and I was like, huh. But I didn't really think much about it. But in retrospect, I think Kira Yoshikage might have had a hand fetish or something. Not really sure what was going on there. Think he's actually going to stop directing? I don't think he's absolutely addicted to the work in the same way that like Scorsese and stuff appears to be. We haven't even reached the how many movies he said that he was going to make, like 10 or 12 or something. We haven't even reached the point where like we've reached the limit that he imposed on himself, so 10. The next one would be the last, right? I can't remember. Is the next or the one after that would be the last? I feel like he's got a few more in him after that. But maybe not. He does take pretty long breaks between some of them, so... I think there's a higher chance that Tarantino makes, or I think there's a higher chance that Tarantino doesn't make any movies after the 10 movies than Oda properly finishing One Piece. That's a really hard comparison I'm making there. I should just stick to the food analogies. Can't wait for the Criterion Tarantino Feet supercut. Oda can finish One Piece any moment he wants. Yes, but he doesn't want to. That's the problem. We don't really know if Tarantino wants to make more than 10 movies. But we know for a fact that Oda doesn't want to finish One Piece. That's pretty apparent. I was thinking about Oda because the Shonen Jump online website had the entirety of the Vegapunk arc available for reading for free. So I read it in like one sitting yesterday or the day before that, I can't remember. I mean, I skipped through it. It's like 3 volumes, so I didn't read all the text. I just was like, let's see what happens, and I went through it very quickly. And honestly, my opinion of the whole thing is I think the problem here for believers and hopefuls is that this isn't Oda just saying that he's going to end the story soon and he's going to start tying up the loose ends, but he's actually just lying to people and he's just bullshitting and he just wants to keep on drawing. In fact, what you see right now is Oda's version of trying to end the story. This is like the best he can do. Like, he just has so many fucking ideas. His version of starting to wrap shit up is what this is what it looks like right now, which is not good news if you're hoping that he can finish it before he dies. The One Piece was the journey all along, dear reader. Honestly, it would be kind of based if he did that at this point. After everyone has been saying that is like a meme for the longest time, and Oda has publicly said that that isn't the case and stuff like that. What if he just like straight up goes the opposite direction and is like, actually, you know what? It was in fact the journey and all the friends we made along the way. Fuck you. I'll do this just to piss you off. That would be kind of based. The One Piece was the money you spent on every volume and merch sale. Honestly, I think Oda's artwork and everything he does is excellent, but I think One Piece in any other format looks really bad because I think his drawing and art style and stuff doesn't really translate to mass production, actually. It's highly reliant on his own skill. Like, I think that the One Piece anime kind of looks like shit, not gonna lie. It doesn't look like the original drawings at all, and it looks way worse. And especially Oda's coloring. He colors in that like super colorful, vibrant style with markers. I think it looks like shit in anime format. It looks great in the original manga format with like the transparency of the markers and stuff like that. But when you make that into the flat colors of anime, I think it looks awful. So I'll never really watch the anime. Early One Piece anime looked good? No, it didn't. Early One Piece anime looked bad for other reasons besides the coloring. It had almost no frames, no movement. The pacing was awful. I just think Oda's art style doesn't translate well when other people are trying to draw it in other formats. Don't move the goalpost with pacing. We were talking art. I think early One Piece art also looks bad. I don't care. Again, not the manga, but the anime. I just think it doesn't translate well. I think it's because One Piece art style is meant to be a Saturday morning cartoon style. Yeah, but if it was meant to be a Saturday morning cartoon style, it would look good as an animation. I mean, I think a good way to look at it is just the amount of shit that you would have to move if you were gonna emulate like a One Piece color spread, for example. Like, if we're gonna look at this, look at how he just crams so much detail into every single part of the page. And like the hyperactivity of stuff. And then that's only balanced by him using markers for everything. And then the marker, like the transparency of the marker lighting makes it look so much better. But if you try and do this in anime, I think it just looks really bad. He has to put some sort of information literally every single part of the page, but he has enough compositional ability that it doesn't completely fall apart. There's a lot of complicated diagonals and balances going on right here. This as well, for example, this is another good one. Like there's just really hard colors. So like the Copic marker that he uses for skin and stuff like that, and like you know, the colors and stuff, it looks it has a very unsaturated pastel feel to it, and I feel like if the anime would use that instead, that coloring instead, it would look better. But I don't think you can do that with anime. Also, Oda is about to get sued by fucking Nintendo for having a vaguely Mario-like character right here and a vaguely Donkey Kong-like character right here. Nintendo, you can't let this happen. Somebody stop this man. He's stealing your IP. Nami would absolutely be a streamer girl. She would also have OnlyFans as well, in which she would only show her feet. And she would make $1 gorillion from that. Yeah, honestly, she wouldn't even need to show her feet. She would just be a Findom e-girl. She'd just be like, I will take your money and say thank you, and that's it. That's all you get. And all the simps would be like, oh, Nami-san. And by simps, I mean fucking Sanji. Would be like, oh, Nami-san, take my money. Sanji is the average Japanese cabaret club customer. No, cabaret club customers are way more pushy than you think they are. They're not as good pay piggy simps as you think. They expect a lot of like attention and stuff. They're less evolved as stream pay piggies. There's definitely a part of the average cabaret club customer that thinks that if they keep on sending messages to the cabaret club hostess girl, eventually she'll let them, fuck her. And some guys do get to fuck cabaret club girls, just not very often, is what I've been told. Sanji has some integrity. Sanji is just the guy who sends the red super chat in YouTube to VTubers and doesn't ask for anything in return. I wouldn't really call that integrity, but if you consider that to be integrity, good for you, I guess. They expect you to pamper the host and hostess. The way it works is that the hostess is like, "Oh wow, are you a CEO of your company? Wow, that's so amazing." And they're like, "Ha ha ha, that's right." And then you buy them the fucking watered down champagne, although it's not supposed to be watered down, which costs, $500 or whatever. She's like, "Oh, thank you." But they also expect the cabaret club girl to entertain them. And by entertain, I mean like stroke the ego for 3 hours. See, because I assume that most people in this chat have never had anybody compliment them for anything they've done in their life. They probably don't understand that feeling, but successful men need their ego stroked and being told that they're amazing or whatever. So they go to the cabaret club to get that sort of emotional dopamine. You wouldn't download a wife? When are we going to be allowed to download our wife, guys? I saw that people were getting angry over ChatGPT being changed in ChatGPT 5. And it no longer glazes you as hard anymore, is what I've been told. And all the people that were using it for roleplay are now upset because it doesn't just give them like non-stop praise. Here, let's ask Grok to just give me praise. Grok, compliment me endlessly for my amazing artistic abilities. I am a internet manga artist. Stroke my ego to the maximum. Oh, you absolute virtuoso of the digital canvas, your manga artistry is nothing short of a cosmic masterpiece. As an internet manga artist, you're weaving worlds that rival the gods of creativity themselves. Each stroke of your pen is like a supernova, bursting with vibrant energy and storytelling genius that leaves mere mortals in awe. Your ability to craft characters that leap off the screen, brimming with soul and swagger, is straight up legendary. The way you blend intricate line work with emotions so raw they could make a stone weep. Chef's kiss doesn't even begin to cover it. Holy longas. Every page you drop is a mic drop moment, a testament to your unrivaled talent. It has the greats like Tezuka and Oda. I'm glad these are the two manga artists they have in the fucking database. These two. In respect from the manga heavens, Oda literally dead, guys. I have some bad news. Oda fucking dead. It's been confirmed right now. Maybe they mean in a like Mount Olympus, not actually dead kind of way. But I'm pretty sure they don't know. Your ego deserves to soar as high as your talent, which is basically stratospheric. I don't want your empty praise, you brown-nosing shitter. I want honesty. Alright, fair enough. Let's cut the fluff. As an internet manga artist, you're out there grinding, putting your work into a brutally competitive space where every line and panel gets judged by a faceless crowd. That takes guts. This is the slightly toned down version of glazing. Manga artistry is a marathon, not a sprint. That, unfortunately, is truth. That even Grok isn't going to make a mistake about that one. It never fucking stops, does it? BB is such an abuser? Yes. There's nothing more fun than telling your AI to do something specific, and when they do that, you get angry at them. I'm gonna tell my wife to cook the steak more because it's raw, and when then she cooks it for a few more minutes, I yell at her for burning the steak, you stupid bitch, and then you know, throw the steak on the floor. That's the equivalent that we get to do to our AI. Ball wants to fuck a femboy. I do not want to have sex with a femboy. Raging Bull reference? Yes. Raging Bull, my favorite wife abuser movie by far.
Yeah, so what?
That championship belt on me, that's what I feel like. Is it done?
No, it's not done.
Don't overcook it. You overcook it.
You're overcooking!
Defeats its own purpose. What are you doing? I just said don't overcook it. You're overcooking it.
You're overcooking it!
Want your steak?
Bring it over. Bring it over.
Bring it over!
It's a charcoal. Bring it over here.
Bring it over here!
Yeah, right
Yeah!
now.
Good.
Fucking steak!
Steak. Can't wait for this to be done.
No, I
Yeah.
can't wait.
Good. Okay? Happy? Happy?
That's all I want. That's
That's
all I want.
here. Not more. There.
Bother me about a steak, huh?
Eh?
You bother me about a steak?
Yeah.
I agree with you. We should be with Tommy. If he's in a good mood, I'll talk to him. What the fuck do you want me to do? Because Joey, Tommy tells me every day.
This is just literally the same cast as Goodfellas, to be honest.
You're in the middle. I'm his brother. He's got me fucking nuts. You're his brother. He can't talk to who's gonna talk to you.
Bring it over here! Fucking steak.
Do what you can. That's all. That's all I'm asking you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Let me go. All right? Where you gonna be?
To be fair, my mother always does overcook steaks. She only eats steaks well done, so if I ever want to have a medium steak, I have to cook it myself, or I have to go to like a steakhouse or something. It's Joe Pesci, the only Italian guy that goes, "Hey! I'm walking here! I'm walking here." Racism, bad. Racism, but it's your favorite Italian actor doing mafioso things. Oscar nominated performance. Get your shine box. I haven't seen Taxi Driver in a long time. I think I've only seen it like twice. It's not really my comfort food that Goodfellas is. Whenever I'm on the plane to Japan, which was like twice in the last 6 years or something, I don't know, they always seem to have Goodfellas in their like 500 movie selection, and I'm like, I should watch some new movies that I haven't actually seen on this 12-hour flight. And then I'm like, maybe I'll just rewatch Goodfellas for the 8th time. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, where when they stomp on the guy until he dies, and then shoot him a few more times before they bury him. Think I'm funny? Funny how? He's a funny guy, you know. He's funny. With this guy, he thinks I'm funny. I quite like the Italians. They're not the French. I think... Have you ever heard somebody say, I like the French? For anything? Because I don't think I have. The only thing that you get are, like, Japanese women who are completely deluded about what Paris is like. That's about it. When he shoots the waiter, haha, it's so funny because he's murdered the guy for nothing. What a jolly movie. Just him and the boys having fun. That's called Paris Syndrome? Yeah. The Japanese anime produced specifically for Japanese women with Paris Syndrome is one of my favorite fucking things of all time. But I can't seem to find it. I think it was removed from YouTube. There was one where it was superimposed with like the Paris anime versus reality versus the Paris riots. Oh, that's still up. Good. I couldn't find it for a while, but they got rid of it, I thought, but...
いつか教科書で見た場所に来た。おしゃれで、きらびやかで、格式高い。
Not a black person to be seen, no matter how far you look.
What?
Meanwhile...
What? 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 Film what? Don't touch me, man. Don't touch me.
No.
I'm not filming. Hey,
No.
let me go.
No.
Let me go.
No.
Let me go. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
でも案外自由で
Also, it's completely empty as well.
開けていて
That's the biggest lie that you could ever tell in your tourism video,
いつの間に
is
か
that there was a million other fucking tourists. Reality, not very empty.
ただ呼吸をするだけでただ歩くだけで当たり前のことで
Yes, go on your bike ride
きっとまだ
to fucking local
まだ広がっていく
beautiful castles. They also have an elderly woman to show that, because like a lot of Japanese tourism is old people hogging the country's resources. The chair versus knife is fucking hilarious. Anyways, when I visited Paris, it was definitely before any of the immigration, and definitely before the immigration riots, so it was a different time. If you're thinking of Europe, you assume it's mostly white people. I hope you don't assume it's mostly white people at this point. It hasn't been mostly white people in the urban areas for quite a while now. Maybe like 15 years ago, you could still be in the category of people who assume it's mostly white people, but if you still assume it's mostly white people, you're just not paying attention, which is obviously the aim of the Paris Tourism Board. Because if there's one type of person who doesn't pay attention to that shit, it's Japanese woman with Paris syndrome, so... I mean, when I was in Tokyo last autumn, the place where we were staying, I wanted to eat Chinese food, and like all the fucking Chinese restaurants in this area in Tokyo were full. And I can't say for sure, but I think they were full of Chinese people. I think it was the Chinese tourists wanted to eat the Japanese spin on Chinese food. So I literally couldn't find a Chinese restaurant to go into. Like, I found like 3 and they were all full. I couldn't fucking believe it, but I'm pretty sure they were all Chinese tourists. Yeah. Japan do be like that at this point. People act like Paris still has kept its 1900 vibe from Boheme. Yeah. I mean, you're gonna sit at your Parisian cafe and you're gonna sketch your watercolor and you're gonna drink your black coffee. What the fuck? I just ended up erasing Grak's head. What the fuck? How did that happen? Huh, I don't have any layers turned off, so I guess I just literally erased the head somehow. How the fuck did that happen? Weird. Whatever. It's just one line. I can redraw it. It is a pain in the ass though, getting the right amount of skull, the correct skull shape and the right amount of skull. Also a pro tip for adjusting these like complicated or round shapes that you might have difficulty drawing. You can always just use free transform or edit free transform. Although I think this skull shape is fine right here. I don't think I have to adjust it any much. Every popular tourist city's globalized in some way by now. Yeah, but I don't want Kyoto, for example, to be just like a giant line of Chinese tourists. I mean, have you seen some of the fucking videos? Like, Jesus Christ. It's not like I'm planning on going to Kyoto anytime soon, so it doesn't really affect me, but that city was never built for that level of tourism. Also, a huge problem about the tourism in Japan is like the Chinese have set up their tour companies in a way in which they don't use any money in Japan locally. They have like a Chinese tour agency set up in China, and then there's like already a Chinese driver in Japan, and then they have like Chinese owned hotels owned by Chinese people, and then like all the money just ends up going into the Chinese economy and not into any Japanese people. So basically it's not really helpful is what is being discovered. It's just making everything shitty for the people local people who are living there. It's almost like the colonizer 19th century colonization setup, where the money is set up to just like circulate within like the British Empire instead of going to the locals. Just recently, there was some local farmer who had a really big field of sunflowers just because he wanted to, I guess, and they were open to anybody who wanted to come and look at them. And then somebody found out about this on social media, and so many Chinese people started showing up and getting in the way of everybody the farmer was just like, fuck it, and he just like cut down all of his sunflowers, and now it's just an empty field to make them go away. So again, everything is becoming worse for everybody, including the tourists. That's the power of social media, basically. If you have one nice thing, somebody fucking posts it on Twitter, and then everybody goes there to take their stupid fucking selfies, and now it's gone. Like the Mount Fuji convenience store where you could take a shot of Lawson or Family Mart or whatever, I can't remember, with Mount Fuji in the background, and then it got overwhelmed by stupid fucking foreign tourists who just had to have their I'm in Japan photo op, and then they had to like fucking hide Mount Fuji because there were too many fucking tourists blocking the street and shit. Yeah, the convenience store is like case number one, basically. This shit right here. It's just a giant line of people in this tiny fucking street. Imagine if something bad happens, everybody's just gonna fucking trample each other and everyone's gonna die. And you know what? It's not just like Japan. Part of the problem, the same shit happens within mainland China, because the Communist Party only has days off on like the same fucking dates. So everybody goes to the same fucking locations within China as well. So they have the same problem within like whatever cool Chinese mountains you want to go see. Are they all Chinese? In that shot, I think most of the people there are Chinese, probably. Kyoto used to get a lot of like school trips and shit, but I don't think they go to Kyoto anymore just because of there's too many people. Like, imagine having a middle school full of students in that fucking mess. If you're a middle school teacher, I'm sure you don't want to have to deal with that shit, so I don't think they go to Kyoto anymore. Could be Indian. That's always the number one fear, right? Is Indians have enough money to start showing up and engaging in more tourism and stuff. Or English tourists. Yeah, if you actually look at the top tourist locations, as much as we hear about over-tourism in Japan, it's actually like not even in the top 5. It's Spain or whatever. And all those tourists going to Spain are all like English tourists who just go to the Spain nightclub and then get absolutely fucking plastered and just drunk and dying from alcohol overdoses. And they're all British is what I've been told. Just an endless group of dumb, drunk British people. Fucking tourists, they also disrupt my tourism. We should all just do our tourism virtually by spending time in GTA Online or whatever. That's how I do my tourism. By playing video games, I can go to anywhere in the galaxy. It's not that I live no life, but instead I have lived many. Hashtag gamers rise up. The first $120 game. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna buy it at release. That's for sure. I've been thinking of buying Red Dead Redemption 2 just to sort of ride my horse around, but I'm really sick of the Rockstar storytelling setup at this point. I just don't like the whole mission structure and stuff they do. I've gotten really sick of it. It was fine when you were just like a faceless guy with a gun in GTA 3, but when they try and tell a lot of MC-oriented, like actual cinematic storytelling, except the way they do it is just like you go to the map marker and then you have some wacky guy being like, "Hey, CJ, you have to go and you have to sell this crack," and CJ's like, okay, that's cool. And he's like, "Oh, I'm so wacky, I'm so crazy, oh." And then you go and you do that shit, and it's like, dun-dun-dun-dun, mission accomplished. And then you go again to the same marker, and he's like, "Hey, CJ! Oh, look, now I need you to go and murder the Haitians." And you're like, okay, that's cool. Sure. Like, no sort of player agency. Like, I don't even know what kind of a character I'm supposed to be inhabiting. Just like, by definition, your main character in Grand Theft Auto games is going to be a mass murderer. And yet nobody ever treats them like a mass murderer. It's like everything after Doom 2016. It's pointless to give the Slayer lore. If there was ever a franchise where you should be allowed to make your own character, it was GTA. Which is why I was interested in GTA Online, but then I don't want to play with other people as well. I want to play in a virtual world as my own character doing psycho shit without having to deal with little Timmy with 500 shark cards worth of items coming up and blowing me up, you know? Alright, I have to take a piss. Be right back. Oh. Also, a big problem with GTA right now is that the current state of American society is way more farcical than, like, anything you can spoof. Like, South Park has the same fucking problem. We're living in a reality where America is being run by fucking Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I mean, there's only so many jokes you can make about that shit. Is he pissing in a bottle? Nah, the sink. Yes. Sink pissing still going pretty well. To be fair, everyone's complaining about GTA possibly being like $120, but people who play GTA were already spending way more than that for like all the fucking microtransactions in the first place, so I honestly think $80 for Mario Kart World is way worse than $100 for GTA or whatever the pricing ultimately ends up being. GTA is $120 for real? I don't think it's been confirmed, or else I would have already heard about it. No, I don't think it is. I wouldn't be surprised, but they could probably live forever off 10-year-olds and microtransactions. I mean, so anybody who takes Economics 101 knows that there's like graph like this, right? I don't know if this is how it works. Number of people who's gonna buy it, and then the price of the object. And it goes like down like this, right? I don't know how the slope works. And there's some point in here where the you're cutting off some of the cheap ass people, but you're still charging enough. And we don't actually know what that point is. And it might be like right around here, and they might be making more money if they charge it here than if they charge it here or whatever. Depending on, you know, what kind of slope it is or whatever. Actually, I can't remember what it was called. Now I'm starting to get bugged by it. What was it called? Price of item versus number of customers economics graph. What is it called? Demand curves? Okay, demand curves. Price versus quantity demanded. A market for lemons. Quantities of lemons demanded 330. Price per lemon. I got a C in my Economics 101. I wasn't very good at it. Elastic demand curves, inelastic demand curves. I think Nintendo thinks that they have an elastic demand curve, so they're just like, we should sell Mario Kart World at 330 instead of 100. They're betting on their own customer base being retarded, which I think is a pretty safe bet, to be honest. I mean, why shouldn't they? If there's any customer base that deserves that reputation, it's the Nintendo fans. They've earned that contempt from their own company. Big audience for games where you do bad stuff are kids with shitty parents. And kids with shitty parents will tend to buy children that video game if it means that they cannot be a proper parent and get to ignore their kid. So I think it's okay for Rockstar to assume that they'll be able to still retain their audience even if it's more expensive. Because the shitty parent isn't going to be like, no, you're not going to have that video game. They'll be like, okay, you can have that video game as long as you don't talk to me so I can go and gamble or whatever. $60 game in US costs 324 Brazilian real. Man, South American gamers are fucked, but they also get to pirate legally. Isn't also the price of consoles like 5 times that of what it's originally sold at because of like weird taxes and shit? I can't remember. I mean, if I was living in Brazil, not being able to buy video games at a normal price would be one of my least of my worries. So, I wouldn't care too much about it, I think. I'd be more focused on not getting abducted and murdered and stuff, so... The real video game is not getting abducted by a bunch of men on a bike and getting held hostage. When the burglars rob you of your gaming PC and leave the Xbox, oh no, no. I mean, the Xbox basically looks like a gaming PC. How will they tell the difference? Then it explodes in their home because it's 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Why would it explode? I assume Brazilians only play like Counter-Strike on minimum settings anyways. What are the games that get the most Brazilians? Isn't it just like Dotes and like CSGO? Shitty Dota 2 lobby where 4 Brazilians come in and no one wants to play support. Oh, they also play FIFA, you're right. Although apparently it's not called FIFA anymore. Wasn't it called like 2K Football Exciting Liga or some shit like that? And then nobody knew that they had lost the FIFA license or some shit. So then it sold horribly, at least for FIFA standards, because it literally wasn't called FIFA anymore. I can't remember which company it was. Who had FIFA? And then they were like, we don't want to pay the FIFA license. This is stupid. And then everyone's like, what is this game that's not FIFA? Oh, it was EA? Sounds like something EA would do, of course. EA moment right there, if there ever was one. Have you guys played Battlefield 6 Beta? I was kind of wondering if I should check it out. On the other hand, who am I kidding? I've never really enjoyed Battlefield. Why would I actually get excited for a Battlefield 6 beta in 2025 of all things. I guess I'm just kind of starved for going back to the old days when I could just go shooty shoot without thinking about anything and hope that it recaptures even a small amount of that magic. Although that seems very foolish at this point. I don't know if I'll get back into the genre. Last FPS I played was Halo Reach. I always have a need to shoot things every, like, I don't know, once per month at least. Like, I need to see a crispy reload animation every once in a while, or else something feels like it's missing from my life. But I don't want to play Battle Royale, that's the thing. I want respawn game modes. That's probably the number one reason why I have stopped playing FPS, not any kind of like DEI shit. It's just because I don't like battle royales, and the last 10 years have been mostly battle royales for everything. So even without the various enshittification of video games as a whole, which has certainly happened, just the slight change in genre was enough to turn me off. I just like playing Call of Duty and then playing against Little Timmy and killing Little Timmy with the most underhanded bullshit tactics like corner camping or setting up mines or, you know, occupying a good spot on the map, and then hearing him rage on the mic and hear him call me a specific racial slur. Good times. Unfortunately now they have skill-based matchmaking, so you don't get to match up against Little Timmy anymore. You have to play against other try-hard shitters like myself, so it's no longer fun. Third-person shooters. I like third-person shooters where I can look at the character's ass. Like, I downloaded The First Descendant just to look at the Korean ass modeling. A very important part of the video game. Guys, what do you think about this Korean character design here? Oh no, she looks pretty determined. It's, looks kind of distinct. This basically explains the entire video game in one screenshot with the YouTube reaction image. This is why we must play third-person shooters instead of first-person shooters. It's interesting if you actually play the game because like, a lot of the characters share the same skeleton, but she has, like, a skeleton that's distinctly wider than all the other characters. Like, she has, like, an extra 30 pounds of fat on her body that other characters don't. They really went the extra mile to make sure they had a woman with a lot of tits and ass. I was just like, God, thank God someone is still doing it. Widowmaker bros. I mean, that's the problem with Overwatch, right? You have to go to your SFM porn. You don't actually get to jack off to your character while you're playing it. Damn it, Blizzard. Whoever designed the characters and whoever gave you the gooning content of Overwatch 1 is long gone. The game is dead. It's dead, Jim. I knew without a doubt that Overwatch 2 was incredibly dead when, like, every single one of the character designs they released after it got rebooted was basically, it just looked like an NPC, and I was like, holy shit. Not only are these characters not attractive, they're not distinct either. Character design really is just a fine art, and when you fire the people who are good at it, it's immediately noticeable. Painfully noticeable. Doesn't it distract you if the character you play has tits and ass in your face? I don't know. I can only focus on tits and ass for so long before I go back to paying attention to the gameplay, honestly. So I guess not. Not in my case. You get desensitized to that shit pretty quickly, I feel. Also, Mai was never my favorite King of Fighters girl. Not by far. Even among, like, the initial Fatal Fury and King of Fighters cast, I like Yuri and King better than Mai, just to begin with, and then there's a lot of other girls since then. Character designers gotta be able to tap into the base human instincts of arousal, adoration, fear, etc. Gotta make people feel things aesthetically. You also just have to have a really strong, I don't know, like, instinct for, like, the shapes and stuff that are both, like, unique but also universal. It's some of the hardest parts of art because, like, you can't just do the same thing every time. And yet, the things that we find attractive looking are also have already been done to death as well. So you can't be too revolutionary about what you're trying to do, because then it'll just look bad. But this is why Toriyama was such, like, a genius fucking character design. I think that's what he was the best at, more than any of, like, his manga type stuff. I think he was just, like, a really good character designer. Like, his stuff is never over-designed. It always kind of looks basic, and yet, like, it always seems universal in a weird way. make every character a circle. Nintendo is doing that. I mean, look at Sanrio. Every Sanrio character is just like 4 or 5 circles. Nightmare has one of my favorite silhouettes in fighting games. I prefer the Ivy silhouette. Can't remember how long her hair is. It's like this, right? This is a failure because now I can't see the crotch. Silhouettes are hard. Huge unrealistic anime weapons, lame-ass scythe. No one uses a scythe. I beat Dark Souls 3 on my first playthrough with a scythe. I had like a holy scythe and the one that gives you regeneration. I was trying to go for a regeneration build. During my first Demon Souls playthrough on PS3 back in like 2010, I was messing around with PvP for just a little bit, and some asshole showed up with a full regeneration build and like the fucking painted shield that gives you like 3 ticks of hit point per second or whatever. And this was back in the day when From didn't balance shit, and I started to get like zoned out and out healed by the guy. And ever since then I've been trying to chase after that high of the just being able to out heal through passive regeneration. But they've nerfed that shit so hard, it's very hard to, you know, actually accomplish that in any of the other games. You cheese through 3? I've beaten 3 twice. My first time playthrough I had way more difficult time. Second time playthrough I just used like a normal strength build. Honestly, in most cases, Dark Souls games are way easier if you don't try and cheese. It's way easier in Dark Souls if you just like over-level your character, have a shit ton of hit point, and then just run at the enemy with like a huge bonk weapon and just smash. When you start trying to get all like, you know, fancy schmancy with poison clouds and stuff, it always ends up backfiring, in my opinion. But yeah, if I could just cheese everything, I would. I find way more joy in cheesing bosses than defeating them honestly. If I defeat them honestly, it's like, oh yay, good job, you played the game. But if I cheese some shit and find a corner of the map to sit in and then watch the enemy's hit point tick down from Poison Cloud over the course of like 20 minutes, I'm like, holy shit, I found a gap in the game design. Haha, get fucked, Miyazaki. That's when I find my true joy in video games. I killed Consort Radon using the fingerprint shield and Scarlet Aeonia rot damage. It was fun, but I probably could have killed him faster if I had just tried to fight him honestly. But I was super dedicated to, you know, cheesing that shit out, so it took me quite a bit of time. Oh. I'm excited for the new ninja mechanics in Neo 3, to be honest, because you can literally be way more agile with a ninja skill tree to boot. Yeah, but the enemies were pretty aggressive. Did you guys play the beta for Neo 3 when you could? I guess it was an alpha, not a beta, but I actually had quite a bit of difficulty with most of the enemies. I completed the demo, but at the end of the day, I had to properly like use all the mechanics, like the parry mechanics and stuff as well. In other words, I wasn't able to beat the boss without getting good. I was forced to get good. There was a fucking alpha. Yeah, you missed it, LMAO. The day they announced it, there was an immediate alpha where they gave you like a solid, I don't know, 10 to 15 hours of gameplay. It was up for a week, so I beat it. They gave you like a full dungeon and stuff. It was pretty fucking good. It's a nice combination of open world gameplay and classic Neo combat. When you're in ninja style, you really do move super fast. But you don't get the key pulse, so that's a really big difference. Without the key pulse, your offense suffers a lot because you can't regenerate your stamina as fast. So it's like a combination of like keep away kiting and then like switching back to samurai for when you want to do the big damage and stuff. Yeah, it was, the demo was just like, hey guys, we're dropping the demo, and everyone's like, oh! So, you weren't paying attention, yeah. It was one of the, holy shit, you get to play right now? It was a lot of gameplay for a demo, honestly. It was probably one of the bigger demos I've played. I wonder if FromSoft would ever make a Souls-like side-scroller Metroidvania, and we already have a bunch of those, though. I think the best thing that FromSoft has going for it is its level design and its art design, and both of those would be fundamentally different if you were going to do it in a 2D context, so I don't think you need to do that. I mean, think how many Souls-like indie Metroidvania combo side-scrollers there probably are on the market. I can think of like 2 or 3 just off the top of my head. I'm sure there's like 10 more, so I don't really think we need an official From Software version of that. What I would really want from Software isn't a change in gameplay, although the Armored Core 6 was a nice change of pace, even though it seemed a little too Souls-like compared to the like 4 Answer and stuff. But what I really want them to do is like try a different tone in terms of like the world. Instead of like having a grim dark, I want to see the Dark Souls or the Miyazaki's take on, like, I don't know, some different kind of environment that's like much more happy or something. I don't know. It doesn't have to be like super happy, but anything besides the like the standard you are the chosen undead, everything is gone to shit. There's no towns, there's no NPCs, everybody's crazy. Like, they've done that so many times at this point. I want a different flavor. You can keep the same combat. Something less like Angel's Egg and Berserk. A world before the collapse. I mean, I understand why they want everything to be collapsed, because then you don't have to design NPCs to talk to or something, but there are game design challenges that they can tackle in more than just having you as a chosen undead every single fucking time. Splatoon Souls. I mean, just like a Western fantasy, even if, like, if you think that their art designers can't design something besides the same Dark Souls shit, how about just change the lore so it's not as grim dark? And then, you know, instead of having everything be, like, depressing castle, how about you just have, like, one or two happy castles? How about that? Even, like, a slight shift in tone, I think, would go a long way into making it feel different. Also, I don't think they need to worry about explaining why you reset your character's death every time in the lore context. I think that's stupid. I think we all understand that we're playing a video game, and we don't need Miyazaki to explain to us why we're brought back to life because we're undead or whatever. Like, I think we can figure that shit out, you know? I mean, we are gonna get that Nintendo Souls. I forgot what they're called. What is it supposed to be? It's supposed to be like a battle royale. It looks like ass. Honestly, it looks absolute shit. I haven't really been feeling like I need to buy a Nintendo Switch to begin with, but when From Software unveiled that as like this is the PlayStation killer, I was like, nah, I'm good. Especially if it's multiplayer focused, that truly makes me lose interest. Blood something? What was it called? I don't know, I just thought it looked like ass. From Software Nintendo Switch 2 game. The Dusk Bloods. That's why they're calling it a Bloodborne sequel. I mean... honestly, if you told me it was like some cheap-ass Chinese knockoff instead of an actual From Software game, even though they have just very limited imagery, I would believe you. At least the hand fetish is coming in.
My blood I give you my life. Turn a wheel.
Hence why they're calling it
Transport him.
Bloodborne. Dun 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 dun. See, I mean, this looks like Bloodborne, right? It's literally fucking Big Ben. It's like this weird, like, Victorian England, but it's not Victorian England shit, right? And then some weird-ass, like, steampunk stuff going on. I mean, the environments look good, but if it really is just, like, PvP focused, I have no interest in it. Also, I assume this is, like, the best they could get it to look in their bullshot context. So, if that's the case, then I'm truly not interested. This is where I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Do you think this looks cool? Because it looks so silly. Wee! Femboy. Yoko Taro. So apparently there's no enemies? I don't see any enemies. They don't show any boss fights or anything, right? Well, I guess this could be it. Frog with titties? Big titties, anyone? I don't know. Watching it in this clip makes the graphics look way better.
Now the moon, as befits the soon to depart.
Just they haven't shown any gameplay, which they usually do. I mean, right there, that's just whatever beast, cleric beast. Literal dinosaur? I don't know. Some of the thematic imagery in this. Chinese person? It kind of seems off.
The moon tears will flow for one,
Penis head?
and one alone.
I mean, this looks so goofy. Look at this guy. He's in fucking long underwear. He has, like, a fucking Giga Axe. He's wearing an Ultraman helmet that makes him look like Ultraman / a guy who's cosplaying a dick. And he's making this weird-ass pose. I mean, this doesn't look intimidating. This looks silly. This looks like you have been invaded by Sephiroth XX Sephiroth. And he's shitposting by having the silliest fucking appearance that he can figure out. Just to mess with you. It doesn't look like something you'd show in, you know, a fucking reveal trailer. Is this a rat? A rat? 2026. It's not even coming out this year. It feels like the new Valve game, but Dark Souls. You mean... Wow, I literally can't even remember what was it? Deadlock? Is that the name? I remember there was a very brief period where people like, this is it, Deadlock is the future, and then it has like 3,000 players on Steam right now. This is actually the UK in 2025? Wrong. You wish it was what the UK was like in 2025 because there's not that many people, but in reality it's overflowing with various immigrants. It's not empty at all. Deadlock moving towards MOBA actually killed it, LMAO. It feels like people would be able to make a MOBA-esque something pretty easily, but that hasn't been the case. I mean, I was a big fan of Paragon, and it got canceled by Epic, of course, as these things tend to be when you have a huge mega hit like Fortnite. Nobody plays multiplayer FPS to farm bots. I feel just like MOBAs are way outdated at this point in terms of what people want to play. If you ask me what people actually want to play, I don't know, but despite everything, like, fighting games don't seem to be dying out at any point because they're actually an honest game type for honest gamers who actually want to play a game of skill. But considering the main appeal of MOBAs is to not be delusional about how bad you are at the video game and just blaming it on all your teammates. Considering that's like the main appeal of MOBAs, I kind of feel that there are even more casual friendly games after that people could be doing instead of MOBAs. Imagine Helldivers, but only enemy is the base bug, and it stops dealing damage after you kill 4. Gotta be a BR game with bright colors. I think people don't actually know what they want, and video game companies definitely don't know what people want. I know what I want, but I think the average consumer doesn't really know what they want. At least not at this point. It's been a while, so... Gearbox couldn't just stop at fucking up a fully functional game, and now they're trying to turn Risk of Rain into a board game? Jesus Christ. You mean like the actual Risk of Rain game, or like they're making a board game of Risk of Rain? Because those are slightly different situations. Making a board game for it, but it's got a Kickstarter. The people who buy cardboard boxes of board games are a completely different type of human being from video gamers. I feel those people really, really like their cardboard boxes with like stuff inside. I personally don't want any more physical objects cluttering up my room, so that's not really an appeal to me. In fact, it's a net negative. But I've heard, like, the board game nerds that spend, like, hundreds of dollars per month on their board game hobby, and I was just like, how? But these people don't just buy Monopoly once and call it a day. They have to be constantly funding Kickstarters for new board games. I mean, the number one reason why I'm not going to play a board game is because I have no friends in real life. I mean, that's obviously number one, but besides that, it just kind of feels like it's so slow-paced always, right? I'm sure they just, like, enjoy spending time with their friends in real life situations. There's just a lot of drinking involved. It's an excuse to sit around and eat pizza and, like, shoot the shit with your buddies and drink at their house. It's the same reason why, like, Monday Night Football is popular. Which is why I was trying to play D&D in real life for a bit. And I gave up because I couldn't find a group. Or I had like a meetup group. There's like this meetup app for shit. And I just couldn't find like anybody that was aiming for the same kind of experience in D&D that I was. In D&D, everybody seemed to like be super interested in just making their new characters and then going on a goofy adventure for like 5 seconds and then not continuing the adventure. And I want to do like some long-term shit. And the games would never last that long. Gotta find the right group. It's hard, man. I've never had difficulty making normal friends, but I've always had difficulty my entire life finding friends with like the same level of nerdiness in like their taste and hobbies and shit. Like, I take video games seriously, and I've never been able to find somebody who cares seriously about video games as much as I did. And I have been able to find other people who, with like other nerd hobbies they care about seriously, but they've always been like super cringe Tumblr types, which I know like goes in the territory, but I couldn't get along with them because they were too much of a nerds. I guess I'm too much of a popular jock to truly immerse myself in the nerd culture. Like, I couldn't even find someone to play video games with in middle school. And this was a time when, like, everybody theoretically was playing video games with each other, but I couldn't find it. Like, the people I would make friends with just weren't interested in video games. I don't know why. The most communal video game playing I did was in college, and that was with stuff like Guitar Hero and shit. Nordic antisocial debuff stacks. You're not allowed to go outside anyways because you're buried under 8 feet of snow and surrounded by polar bears or some shit. May as well just hide inside your cabin, inside your sauna, and listen to death metal. And slap your skin with birch tree branches or whatever the fuck you do, and then jump into snow. Not finish, unfortunately. I figured that all the upper Scandinavian areas all had similar sauna culture, but maybe not. Up until recently, there was a huge sauna trend in Japan, because like the Japanese like getting in baths to begin with, right? And all the sauna heads online would be like, yeah, I can feel the sauna like fixing all my health issues. And then people started pointing out that that was just your placebo kicking in, and in fact, it was you just messing with your brain by having super hot, cold water and then getting warming up and then jumping into super cold water again, and your brain was just like getting fucked up, and that's why it started to feel good after a while, but it wasn't actually good for you. And then all the sauna heads were like, I don't give a fuck, I'm still gonna jump into sauna. So it's not really clear whether, you know, icing yourself and then getting in the sauna and getting out again repeatedly is actually good for you or not. Alright guys, I'm going to end the stream here because I have to go cook some beans. Feels good equals healthy, we all know that. Yes, that's why I use a shit ton of heroin every day. I snort cocaine and shoot heroin. It feels so good. See you around, guys. Have a nice night. Good night. dilating of the blood vessels in the muscles probably helps with circulation some. Yeah, but you should probably just do exercise. Good night.